Well, we're back on. Hopefully, we'll get some viewers this morning, but again, it's all gone. It's all gone downhill. It's a bit frustrating this morning, to be honest. Look, we've got one watching. Started streaming less than 1 minute ago. I don't know if you can see me. We've got two now. I hope you can hear me now this morning. I apologise for that, but that's what happens. Let's try again. Yeah, absolutely. We can't give up. Morning, take two, Rob Fry. Yeah, I apologise for that. It's just something that happens occasionally, and it's been happening a lot more just lately. But we have got the internet now, and we've got the fibre back on. I just spoke about that, so hopefully we'll just go back and have a little look, make sure we've got a good connection. I don't know what actually happened there. Just refresh that at the moment. We've got 6 live viewers. Thanks for joining again. We're not going to go through it again. So we've been talking landscape. Let's just get on with it. And we just mentioned about all the people in Ukraine, and it's just so sad to see what's going on there. But look, anyway, thanks for joining this morning. We've got Rodney and Rob Fry with us at the moment. We've got a few others. It'd be good to actually see who's joining us. Let us know where you're from. I want to see who you are, where you're from, and what are you actually doing this morning. Let's make sure we get the volume down on that. We silence that. And we've got Rodney and Rob Fryer. Morning, take two, says Rob. Well, here we are, Rodney. Yeah, we were talking about it in the United States. It's so good that you're on at the moment. And the thing is, there's many people across the UK going to think, well, what's relevant, what they're doing in the US in comparison to what we're doing here? Well, it's got a massive relevance. You know, all around the world, we use paving, we use wearing courses. And when we refer to wearing courses, we refer to what we are actually walk on. So wearing courses. It's such a shame, isn't it, that things like that happen on the technical side of things. But here we are. We'll get going again. 5 live viewers. We've got 1 light on here. Rodney Marn says, no worries. YouTube is a beautiful tool that connects all of us. Yeah, it does, Rodney. And I'm so glad that you've joined us this morning. Rodney, I want to know a lot more about you. Just so I want to know about the guys in the UK and anyone else across the world. Any thoughts on granite cobbles as a border? Yeah, absolutely, Rob. I've used granite cobbles many times, and that's a great point. Granite cobbles. Granite, of course, people always think that granite is massively rock hard, isn't it? But it's not necessarily. In some cases, quite soft. We are back, says James. Yeah, James Sharp from Kent Gardening. James, good to see you this morning. We're just picking up on Rob's question there. What do I thought of granite cobbles? I think the thing is about the granite cobbles, they're very undulated. It's got that very rustic look about it, but also I would say, Rob, it's got that contemporary look about it as well, because it's those grey colours, which is a very contemporary colours. We've got Dan Woods joining us here as well from Birmingham. Good to see Dan joining. I wonder if Dan will stay with us for a while. Changed the user name finally. He changed the username finally. Yeah, absolutely. James Sharp, Kent Gardening. James there, no problem at all. Look, we've got 1 like on this live stream at the moment. We need to get some more for the analytics to get it going. So if you can give us a like, that'd be great this morning. Rob Fryer says, thanks. No, Rob, I've used it. I think there's a video that I've got on. It's not about my videos. You just go out there and have a look. I've used the granite cobbles. They're very undulated, but they sort of mix the two between that very rustic, very old look, but also because of the colour, it can look quite contemporary as well. And if you want, you can, it depending on how your granite cobbles come, you can, the ones I've used in the past, we use them for many years in rumble strips. Those little sleeping policemen, not literally a policeman sleeping in the road, but those little humps in the road to slow the traffic down. We used the granite on there because they seem to take a lot of knocking, and they sort of just stay with it. They really do, and they always look good. And remember, you can wash it up. But remember, pressure wash it up. But remember, is that it still has a density to it. I'm not quite sure how dense granite is. But it's not as dense as obviously like sandstone. Sandstone has a high porosity value to it massively. It'll be so good when we'll be able to get out of this office. I feel as if I'm in lockdown in this office. The studio is nearly there. It's just the ceiling and a bit of lighting that we have to do in the undisclosed location. But I've brought some tools in the office this morning. I bought some Ruby tools just to show you how I feel, or actually the fact is how the landscaping world, the paving world is changing. James Sharp from Kent Garden says, I've done a lot of granite cobbles in the past. My favourite were old reclaimed London cobbles, which were 250 long by 150 width, 200 depth, massive depth, 8 inches depth, absolutely brilliant. That's what you want, you know. It's going to have some longevity. And he says, from the streets of London. Do you know, James, it'd be nice to know, I know you can't say, but wouldn't it be nice to know was when those cobbles first went in? I wonder if you could maybe find a picture of when those cobbles, whether you could trace that back. You know, it's wonderful, the internet would be able to do it. Did you see that, Rodney? James is using cobbles from the streets of London, and that's the thing, you can keep using it. Should we be using reclaimed products, like, you know? And the question I was going to ask you, with a massive insurge of porcelain paving, you know, is that having an effect on the carbon footprint of the earth? You know, I want to know what your thoughts is about that. Yeah, just completed the sandstone set wide path this week. It's been on the group. Loved it. James, I absolutely loved it. Yeah, and you was on about the cuts. Yeah, I seen it. Yeah, it looked fantastic. It's such a shame that we couldn't share a picture on here this morning, but I don't think we can create a poll. I'm going to create a poll this morning, and then we're going to go for it. And the poll is let's put the question forward. What let's put up. Let's type it first, and I'll tell you. Just doing this poll. We don't. These polls would go out later on when people watch it. No options. What did you want? Let's do a question mark on there. There's a question. It's coming up now. I think we've done this one before. Ask your community, and here it is. What is your preference, porcelain or sandstone? Let's get that out there. That's on there now. Yeah, James. Rodney, if you want to join our landscape and survival group, I don't know if you get on Facebook, go and have a look. It's Landscape and Survival with Johnyboy. Get on there. You'll be able to see what James has done with that path. Let's just get the poll is out there. We'll be announcing what the percentages are. What's your preferences, porcelain or natural stone, basically. Rodney Mon says, hard to find granite around here, mostly sandstone and limestone. So I should imagine, because of surplus to requirements, that granite is going to be quite expensive. Rodney, it'll be actually good to maybe if Rodney can actually send us some pictures. Rodney, do you want to drop us an email, mate, at info@greentoplandscapes.co.uk, and let's have a little look at some of the things you're doing. We want to know what you're doing across there. Yeah, already we've got a 50%. I knew that was going to have a reaction on that about the sandstone. Be interesting to see what it is at the end of the show. We've got 50% at the moment. Ronnie Mann, James Sharp says, just completed the sandstone wide path this week. It's on the group. The new ones are half that thickness, James. Yeah, Rob, and that's what I was going to get onto, is that sometimes you can actually get the calibrated granite sets, and also you can get calibrated granite slabs as well, and that'd be interesting. Look, guys, I want to share and I want to talk about. I want to see what you guys are doing. Here we go. It's 75%. Look, 75%. It's massive at the moment. We'll have a look at the poll at the end and we'll see what it is. But it's just interesting to have a look at the moment. James says, indeed, Rob, a lot easier now. Reclaimed, used recycling. Sandstone, says Carl Button. Rob Fry says sandstone. Yeah, I would love to do some sandstone. It's also, but I really feel that the only thing about the sandstone that we have now is so thin, it's so calibrated. It's just, I think it's just lost its way, to be honest. And the thing is, because it's got high porosity value, that's where you have to make sure that even with the sandstone you're laying now, unless it's a lot thicker, you have to make sure that you back butter those slabs and bridge bond on there. Has anyone ever done a direct comparison of carb? Yeah, absolutely. That'd be interesting to know. James, I want to know your thoughts on that. If we can maybe work with each other and try and get that sort of information out there, and you can help me, that'd be great. Dan Wood says, porcelain, easier to install and maintain. There is a lot of creativity that can be done with picture frames, contrast and colours, etc. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think there's a lot can be done with anything, but it's like, it's what's appealing, isn't it, to the eye? What's appealing to the eye? Some people like clean, straight, contemporary, modern looks with minimal maintenance, very minimalistic look. And then some people want that natural look about things. But you got to remember, of course, is that with porcelain you can actually have the look that you want naturally, whether it be a wooden plank or marble. They can replicate that porcelain. They are replicating those things there. James says, has anyone done a director of carbon emissions of natural sandstone producers versus manufactured porcelain? It's always an hard thing. This is James. I think people's talked about this, about artificial grass in the past, and they all say that artificial grass has a massive impact on the carbon footprint that it's creating on the earth, the impact that it's having. They say it's immense, but I think what we've got to remember is about, you know, how they make lawnmowers and anything to do with natural lawns as well. Like, you know, I'm not quite sure about that and what the arguments are. You know, I'm not a figures man, so I can't really say, but it'd be good to get your feedback, you as a community, landscape community on it. Hey guys, remember this. Please drop me an email. We're not taking any calls this morning, but drop me an email, info@greentoplandscapes.co.uk. If you've got any pictures that you want to share with me, for me to have a look at, or any topics of conversation that you feel that is relevant, just let me know so I know all about it. Carl Button says, just come back from quoting sandstone paving. Unfortunately, it comes down to prices of materials. Well, Carl, what I would say is this, that porcelain now in some cases are matching the same prices as the sandstone, because sandstone's gone massively through the roof in places. And it'd be interesting, Carl, to know what the prices you're paying where you are. I'm always keen to read the next comment, but just picking up on what Carl says there, just read what Carl says there again. Just come back from quoting. It's great that Carl's come back and actually joined us this morning. Hey guys, don't forget mine. We got 12 viewers, but we've only got 11 likes on here. Let's get on there and give it a like, please. Come on, just get on there. Even if you liked it before, let's get those likes up. It's good for the analytics. Carl says, just come back from quoting sandstone paving. Unfortunately, it comes down to prices of materials. Carl, what did your customer actually think of your proposal? Did you listen to them and actually find out what they want? I'll be interested. Just put this chair up a little bit. I'm going down here a little bit. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know what you're doing, what you would like, or did you push in a certain direction? Tell me what you did and how it went, and where was the job and how big it was. Was it complete garden makeover? We want to know what you're doing. Rodney there in Iowa says porcelain is very new around here and not too many people know about it to install it. They actually try and put it down to like sandstone on a sand base and rubber compact it. Yeah, Rodney, that was the thing that I was going to get onto. The fact is that the Americans do, you guys do lay things in a different way. But when you go up north into Canada, they do wet lay, and they wet lay on concrete. That's how they get over the freeze belt problem. For those of you in the UK that are actually watching at the moment, in the United States, they have a thing called the freeze belt. The ground gets like -40 in places. So they use a lot of sand, and that's why there's a massive, I don't know if you've seen it, Rodney, a massive push in the direction of 3cm, porcelain 3cm, very heavy. They got that sand bed, and then they put jointed products with a porosity value to allow the water to ingress underneath. I was speaking to a lady recently in Tennessee, and she had some paving put round a pool. I believe it was 3cm, okay, and they laid it on sand. I hope it was 3cm, and the water was going through, but it wasn't getting away, and then it was all freezing. And she said from day to day she could see a paving going up, and that was in Nashville, Rodney. Want to know what your thoughts are around that. We have frost down at least 1 meter. There we are, 1 meter. There you have it. That is absolutely incredible. You know, for you guys that don't know about this, what's happening in the States and how they pave. And we've got to be inspired. We've got to learn about what's going on around the world. Rodney says there, we have frost down to at least 1 meter. 1 meter in depth frost, absolutely incredible. I watched a documentary the other week, a place in Siberia where it's freezing like 30, 40 meters down, like something ridiculous. Like the ground is always always for, maybe I'm exaggerating now, I do exaggerate occasionally, but I know that there's a place in Siberia, it's the coldest place in the world, but listen to what Ronnie says there, frost down to 1 meter. That's a massive problem. That's why they lay the way they do, because it's like a flexible system and they can actually maintain it. Rod, it'd be good to actually see, maybe I've seen a lot of work when I've gone to the States, going on out there, and I've looked at it online and how you guys lay in a different way. It's interesting. But hey, look, don't forget my 16 likes, 14 live viewers. Let's get a few more likes up on this live stream this morning. James Sharp from Kent Gardening. I will be investigating the possibility of sourcing paving quarried in the UK. Granites, York stones, etc., York sandstones, etc. Is it a colour variation that we are attracted? I got a video coming in. Attracted to in imported manufactured products. Well, I think what a lot of it, James. I think that what there was a push in the direction of porcelain for some times. It's always trying to sort of break into the marketplace. It has done for years, but we never used it because we were stuck in a certain way, a certain style, and how we source product as well. That plays a major part into it, and how they were bringing product into the UK. It just made sense that for some of these massive concrete manufacturers like Marshalls, for example, that were bringing in paving, and it just made sense for them to start bringing in stone. They were bringing in aggregates across Europe, and then obviously they started bringing in stone, and then it just takes off. It's a product they're selling side by side, and I think that's where the push is. But obviously in this country, we've always used York stone or pennant, blue pennant down here, sort of Welsh limestones on coping stones, and then we're using the stones in those old farmhouses for years. And then we always used concrete products for many, many years. Back in the 70s and the 80s, it was a lot of concrete products. You didn't see much of the paving products that we use now. We didn't have the accessories then, back in the 80s. As I remember, it was always those 3x2s, or people would, if they didn't want the 3x2s, those old, I'm going to say it, ball breakers, that's what they were called. Sorry, it's not swearing. But we looked at those 3x2s as a product that was robust and it lasted. We put brick edges against it. Sometimes in cases we actually chipped the edges so it would look like an old flagstone, and we did. But it would always look ugly because it would always show the aggregate on the inside. But we did use a lot of concrete products, replicated products of sandstone, because sandstone or blue pennant or York stone was always expensive. And it's amazing how the products and prices sort of fluctuated and gone up and down over the years. I remember using a Tegler set from Marshalls many years ago, and literally 15 years later, I was getting it cheaper than what I did 15 years earlier, and Tegler was still popular. I'm not sure what Tegler are now, but it'd be good to get your thoughts on it. If anybody got any ideas what Tegler, maybe we could find it now this morning. Let's have a look at Tegler sets. I know that Tobermoor do it. Tegler is not just it's not just a Marshall product. It's a licensed product. Tegler block paving. Let's have a look, see what actually comes up. Tegler block paving, if we put it in, it's a licensed product. We've got 14 live viewers this morning. Just have a look at this. 139,000 results for Tegler block paving. Paving Direct, you can have a look on here. Have a look what they say on here. And I'm not plugging them now, I've got to pay for that, getting paid for this. Well, there you are then. Let's have a look now. We've got some prices here. Let's have a look. Concrete block paving. There we are. Pave set charcoal dark tumbled concrete block paving, £34.49 a square metre. And that's from Pavestone, I think it is. That is pave set charcoal dark grey tumbled concrete block paving, £34.49 a square metre. Yeah, from a square metre. And then up the top, they have porcelain paving from £28 a square metre. Obviously, those prices include VAT as well. And then when we look at over at the slim set, which are absolutely beautiful, laid in a tumbled way, slim set anthracite, they are £42 £42.49 a square metre. £42.49 a square metre. Incredible. Slim set brindle, £42.49. Prey set brindle, tumbled concrete. We're talking about concrete now. £34.49 a square metre. Now look at some other sites on there. We'll look at the Marshalls Tegler. I think that's just going straight to their site, so they won't have prices. Oh, they have. They got prices on there. Dry set Tegler, £36.72 a square metre. That's for concrete products. And you got Porcelain coming out cheaper than that. Let's just get back to the live stream at the moment. We've got a little bit coming on in here at the moment. James says, with the changes to imports and the EU, it would be interesting to do a comparison of cost of carbon emissions. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Carl Button says, a complete garden project. As landscapers, we also try to come up with designs and ideas and products to get out there of the norm, so we can have the gardens looking the same. Yeah, I agree with that, absolutely. And Carl also says, this time the client requested sandstone. I think, Carl, it's all about trends, and I think that sometimes people see so much, and maybe the people that she had there before maybe try to ram that down the throat about the porcelain, and they actually start thinking about, well, maybe I don't want porcelain. It depends on the individual itself. Rodney says, I use at least half a metre of hard aggregate on top of the solid base, then and a sharp sand mortar, also a flexible sand grout so the porcelain can flex and freeze thaw having. Do you still have problems with that, Rodney? Look, you see what Rodney says. He used at least half a metre of hard aggregate on top of the solid base, then and a sharp and sand mortar, also use a flexible sand grout of porcelain, can flex with the freeze and heavy thaw. I know, Rodney, in the States that you can actually wet lay, but you've got to lay it on concrete. And I'm just, the lady from Tennessee the other week phoned me up, and she had a problem with her paving. It was going up and down for the freeze thaw effect. You could literally see the difference in height. And, she said that it could have been laid on concrete, but sometimes it's the mindset of the people that are actually using the products, and people tend to use this in the way you're doing it out there, to get over those freeze thaw effects. But of course, you've got to remember, when the water's going through, you've got to keep the water moving, because the water can be detrimental to the paving. It'd be good to discuss this with you sometime, Rodney. I'd love to have you on a live stream, maybe on an Instagram live stream. We can talk about it and maybe get that shared out there. If you're interested in doing that sometime, let me know. Drop me an email at info@greentoplandscapes.co.uk. James, Ali's on here. Good morning, Ali. How you doing, bud? Good to see you on here. Good morning. It's all gone a bit pear-shaped this morning with the signal going in and out, but nevertheless, we're back on it. James Sharp Gardening says, John, with granite paving. Yeah, let's have a look at the poll. What does the poll say? We're at 80%, I think, on porcelain at the moment. James says, John, with granite paving, where the surface is hammer finish, but the flip side is, which is being laid downwards, is smooth. Would you say slurry would be adequate as a bridge bond, or is this better to use? Yeah, I think what you've got to try and remember is that you've got an individual cobble, a set, and we're using a bottle actually at the moment. If that bottle, for example, if you see that as a cobble, all right, and then you see this as paving, and because it's a longer distance, it's wider distance, what you'll find is that it will be more stable than a cobble being laid that way. So what you need to do is slurry the bottoms of all this cobble. Just get a bucket, mix your slurry up. Don't mix too much at a time. Only mix up what you're using, what you can use, and just dip your cobble in, tap it down onto your screed mix, reduce the water. It's so important to reduce the water. That's why things freeze. Then tap it down. James, if you want to give me a ring, I'm more than happy to discuss it. And listen, mate, I really appreciate you joining this live stream this morning. And adhesive, yeah, absolutely. You could use a slurry. What I would say is, I gotta say, you've seen me using priming slurry from Aspects, and it is really good. It is good. But I used a product a little while ago, Instamac. And I tell you something now, that was how it went on. I don't know what the longevity of it, but how it was going on. And what you've got to try and do, for me, I think the more that you put on, the better it is, really. Make sure the bottom of any paving that you're putting on, that the dust is cleaned off. That's the other thing about it. The dust is cleaned off, because otherwise your adhesive, you could do a job and do exactly what you need to do, and the only thing that's probably let you down sometimes is you haven't cleaned the bottom, that there's dust on there through the manufacturing process, then the slurry sticks to the dust, and then that's when it delaminates. You get a little bit of water in it, a little bit of freeze-thaw effect, just a little bit, and then that'll delaminate. So what you need to do is clean at the bottom, then put it in, and I'll be honest, I just slap it on. It's all, like I said, I use that analogy of when you were a kid, you used to come in and you're absolutely starving, you want to, toast is always the quick things, a piece of bread or a piece of bread and butter, and you used to slap the butter on there because you was young and you didn't care, and you fold it and you eat it and you'd have a mouthful. There's more butter than bread. Think of that when you're putting your slurry on the bottom. It may be the case with some companies that they'll say that you don't necessarily need that because of how they've made it, but you need to check it out. And what I always say to people is that phone up the technical departments, and unfortunately, some technical departments don't exist, and you'll have somebody on the end who is a salesman, and they'll tell you anything. Where the work is done with these companies is they get people to produce products, and then they haven't got nobody on board. And wasn't the case when I phoned Blue Circle many years ago, speaking to them about cement and Feb. There is plenty of Feb, which is a plasticizer already in your cement. So think about how much you're actually putting it in, and actually phone the companies that makes the plasticizer. We talk as Fed as a brand, but we're talking about a plasticizer now. So when you're putting plasticizer in your mortar, think about it. And for me, I think the more you put in, the more chemicals, the weaker it actually becomes in some cases. James says, an adhesive. Rodney says, the wet lay on concrete will delaminate in my experience. Rodney, mate, I'm shocked that you actually say that, because there are large format adhesives that are used in Europe, and certainly BAL adhesives have a product that they used on a hotel in Switzerland where it got down to minus 30, 35 and 40 in some cases, and it never ever come apart. So, but that's your opinion, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. But there we are. Rodney says the wet lay on concrete will delaminate in my experience. It just depends how you've gone about it, and you don't necessarily need to put so much water in it. The thing that I would say is that across the wall now, and I've spoken about this so many times, they're using a method called earth ram walls, where they use aggregate to make the sides of a house, and it's down in the ground, and it's through compaction. The less water is you need water to make the magic happen, to make it start setting off, but it can be actually detrimental in so many cases. I'm going to read some of the comments, but thanks, Ronnie, for that. Really appreciate what your thoughts on that, and it'd be good to get a little bit more. And I've been told this so many times when I've gone out there, but I have seen it wet lay. Bannerstone in Canada wet lay. Some of those contractors that use their products, they wet lay, but they also dry lay as well. Not much sets, but actually 450 millimeter square paving, 20 millimeter thick. I would use, definitely, James, I would use a bonding slurry, a bridge bond of some sort to actually on the back, but make sure, like I said, you clean the backs. It's good getting through this morning. I'm glad I come back on, because we had a technical difficulty earlier and we lost the live stream for whatever reason. I don't know why, but we did. But this is a real good test for eventually when we move into the undisclosed location. We've got a lot of stuff going on there. We've got a few things to show you in a moment. I'm going to show you that in a moment. I was trying to read what David Graham says. Should you use SBR on your lean mix before putting your bed down? How long before this should be done? Absolutely. SBR is a rubber solution. So what you'll find is, David, that your lean mix isn't going to suck any moisture. And even if it's little moisture in your mortar, it's not going to suck the moisture out of your mortar. So yes, it's important to do that, to put an SBR down. It's a waterproofer, okay? It's a waterproofer, so it will work. And then, of course, what you need to do is you can use an SBR, but I think if you're using, what I tend to do, David, is that as I lay my paving, I mix some slurry up and I tip it on and brush it in and make sure it's adhered to that. that lean mix that we've laid this week is gone off absolutely solid, and we've still got a sub base underneath it. Guys, I just want to show you. This isn't necessarily plugging Ruby, but they are a good company, and only this week somebody who had bought a Ruby bridge saw had a problem with it, and already I've got onto Paul Carter at Ruby, and they've got somebody going and having a look. It's great service. They will not leave you behind. Okay, Ruby will not leave you behind. They're a great company. They've got the sources to deal with any problems that you may incur with any product at any time with their product. But I just want to show you some of the products they're actually having. And I'm not going to do it in any sort of, or maybe I'll do it in some sort of way. Let's have a look now. So if we look at a landscaper now, is what you'll find is because of the slurries they're actually using. This is a wash buoy. The wash buoys come in different sizes. And I've got to admit, this is great, but you've got to get down on your knees, and they need to develop. I'm going to say this straight away, Paul Carter, if you're watching, you need to develop a bigger one. We can use like a mop bucket, and we can squeeze it in, so it'd be good to do that. There we are, that's a Porcelain triple. I know Raimondi do one. It's got to be said, it's very good, but they're very expensive. But this is a wash buoy. You've got the wheels on the top, they've changed this now, so all you do is you dip your sponge in, have a look inside now. You've got that little rack inside there. And what happens is you fill that, make sure the water's always clean. And this is I think the problem where a lot of people fail with their grouting is they don't wring this out enough, because water sits on the surface. You dip it in and then you really squeeze it out. It's got to be said, it's just got to be said that this is a timeless game. Paving is changed if you're using Porcelain, and this would be great to use with sandstone as well, to be honest. As long as you keep things clean, you just go along your edge and clean off. You know, for many years, I've always kept probably the most important tools that you ever use is a bucket of water and a sponge, and keep it by you, wring it out, give it a wipe, turn it over, wring it, dip it in, and then just keep going with it. Listen, we've got 11 viewers on here this morning. It's absolutely fine. I missed last week. Unfortunately, I've got to tell you this. I haven't told you this, just told you at the start. We are suffering with a bit of a COVID problem at the moment. I'm fine though. I'm absolutely fine. So there we are. That is the wash buoy. See if we can just keep that over there at the moment to one side. So if we can get this out now. Look at this. I've got to get that down. This is just how I've got it at the moment. This is I'm going to get it out of the box and I'm going to show you. This is what they call the Thriller. Yeah, it's turned into one of those sorts of shows this morning. This is called the Thriller, the Ruby Thriller. You see that other companies like Monolith have one. Tyler's used these vibrating tools to make sure that the mortar underneath is fully distributed nice and evenly. It's so important that you have a full bed. And this is the thing that I was talking about, Rodney, if you're still watching at the moment, is that the importance of having a full bed is to ensure that you don't have any voids under your paving, because if you have any void under your paving, you can get a build-up of moisture underneath. And it just perplexes me that people are using grouting systems where the water can go through, and that's okay if it's moving on, but if it's not moving on, the water backs up, then that's when you get that freeze-thaw effect. And remember, even in this country, in April, you can actually have all 4 seasons in one day. Talking great service. Shout out to Arbor Landscape Solutions, who excellent this week with the supply of GFTK jointing compact. That's Arbor Landscape Solutions. No problem, James. And it's always good to talk about the people that you value and those people that value you. This is what these live shows are about. Facebook group is a huge help. Everyone should join and get involved. James is talking about, I don't know if James could actually do this morning, maybe get a link up for the Landscape Survival group on it. We're going to get this Thriller out, and you can get smaller ones than this, but this is what Ruby's produced. I've got sawdust everywhere, she's going to kill me. There we are. This is the Thriller. Let's just get it out now. There we are. This is for paving, Porcelain paving, and it's a vibrating tool. Is it too excessive for what we're doing at the moment with paving? Can you get that full bed underneath there? I think if you're using the large format adhesives for exterior, you can get up to 20 mil. I know BAL adhesives do this. It's for large format. I've used it and it does work. You can use one of these, make sure you use those self-leveling systems as well to make sure it doesn't move around too much, but you can use this. I was reading somewhere the other day on the paving expert. Let's have a little look at that. Tony McCormack talks about, I've always wanted to know what constitutes a full bed. Nobody would even tell me. Even Marshall's Paving wouldn't even tell me. Dave Jessup there, he said, as long as there's a full bed, and it's absolutely fine. But I asked him, what constitutes a full bed under your slab? And he couldn't come back to the answer. But I found this week, I never found it before, but what constitutes a full bed in Tony McCormack's eyes, in the paving expert, he says 70%. 70%. But the thing is, we've got to think about is that 70% of the bed, when you run your trowel through it and you've got those voids underneath, is that a full bed? Is it sufficient? Is it going to be compromised at any point? But I just wanted to show you that that's the Thriller. Maybe this should come as cordless because they've got electric on there. It's electric, it's a corded one, and that could be probably problematic at a later date. See if we can leave that to one side there, and you can just see that in the background. You can just about see it. Let's just turn the camera around. You can see the Thriller there. I'm not getting any discount for these, so I just want to show you what landscapers are. The reason for this, I'm all at one angle now. This is great. The reason I wanted to show you this was because this week we arrived at our clients and we looked in the garage and we actually looked at the tools that we were using, and it was amazing how little tools that we were actually using, Ryan and I, on this particular project. And just put that to one side. James says, not sure if that worked, but search landscape survival on Facebook. If not, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, James. I really appreciate it. Rodney says, I guess I misunderstood the lay on cured concrete will delaminate in the two jobs that I relayed. These were done by the supplier's recommendations by others landscapers. Do you know, Rod, I would love to come out to the States one day and actually lay some paving. I've been out there many times and spoke to landscape companies, design companies, had a chance to work there many times, but I'd like to come out and maybe lay some paving somewhere, even as a test, and actually see if it would work, or maybe if you could actually even lay something on a piece of test ground. Is there anywhere you can actually use? Rod, thanks for that. I really appreciate Ronnie. Ronnie joined us this morning, and he joins us on a regular basis all the way from Iowa in the United States. James Sharp, thanks for that, Rod. James Sharp says, gardening, not sure if that worked. Yeah, the Thriller looks very handy, says Rodney. David Graham says, thanks, John. So if wanting to use a permeable grout and bed, is the SBR mix a no-go then? Yeah, well, this is the thing, you see, Dave, is that SBR is a waterproofer. And when you start using brushing grouts and letting the water go through, it's just gonna, it's a water repellent. That's all there is to it. SBR is, if you look at it, it's I can't even remember the word, but it's a rubber solution basically. So, you know, this is the thing what people don't understand is that you don't want water going through and holding in your subbase. And it just goes on, and I'm just perplexed by it. And you'll have companies, all right, even the companies that I use, and I'm just not going to name them, you know some of the companies I actually use, and they're producing products and the water's going through. They'll say on their boxes that you've got to use as long as you've got a permeable subbase. That's a big one to achieve, isn't it? Got to keep the water moving. Don't let the water hang around your patio. You've got to get it moving somehow. If you're not going to get it, if you can't move it, you need to use a different method, and you need to use a rigid system. Look, we've shown the Wash Boy, we've shown the Thriller. I'm just going to show you one of the other things that is in. You see these are the Ruby suction pads. They're about £58. I think they are about £60, and they do work. I picked up an old, I call the old ball breaker slab, the old flagstone, and I had it up on a wrench, and it actually was on there 48 hours. It held it for 48 hours. It was incredible. Some of these do leak, okay? The thing is about Ruby, occasionally I say some of them think, you always get things that are faulty in life, even me, all right? I'm very faulty. But what you'll find with these is that they do work. Will they work on riven? If it's not too riven, they work, but that's when you have to start using mechanical vacuum suction cups like the I can't even remember the name. If somebody can help me out with the electric, and I've got one in there, or the cordless one. I've got it now. I can't even think. So that's the ruby suction cup. I'm not going to get it out because it's got a seal on there and it's a little bit dusty. But that's the ruby vacuum suction cup, and they do work. They're handy. They're light, and it's a level entry product. You know, some of the cordless ones you can't use outside. That's the thing about it. I can't even remember the name of it at the moment. Somebody can help me out with this. I'll catch you again soon, either or the group. We'll have a chat on the phone. No problem at all. The Grabo. Thanks, Graham. Thanks for that. The Grabo, yeah. No problem, James. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for joining this morning. Looking at the poll at the moment, 72% saying yes to Porcelain. And what we've got here, I've got two more things I want to show you. This is, I'm going to get it out. Comes in. Let me just show you. This is what we'll be able to do when we'll be in the studio. There we are. It comes in a nice bag like this. Take it to site. But this Ruby again. I want to show you. Ruby are a great company to work with. I love working with them. They do care about people and they will look after you. This is the Pro Edger. Okay. What you actually do with this. Okay. You put your grinder in here. It gets connected to that, and obviously that spins, that rotates around, but you can put any fitting you like within reason underneath there, and what it will do, it will chamfer a 45 on your granite, so when you're doing those walls, cladding to those walls, you can actually get a perfect chamfer on there. So there we are, have a little look at that, two handles, so that's how you hold it, and you just run it along, almost like a router in some respect, but that actually works. I've seen it work. And can't move that at the moment. My thumb's absolutely killing me. Let me just turn it up. So there we are. You can lock it on, lock it off with this. We'll do a demonstration of this. We've got the Ruby reps coming out soon. That's the Pro Edger. It makes things a lot simpler than just running a grinder along. You know, there's some guys that are absolutely good and really good at it, but sometimes we want the tools to make the job that little bit more easier. We'll put that back in there now, out the way, because there's something else I want to show you, which I think that is a fantastic tool, and I've used it. If you can afford one of those bridge saws, there are other products that you can actually use. Let's put that down over here the way. This is what I wanted to show you. This seems to be really popular at the moment. Put that to one side. We don't want to destroy the keyboard at the moment. Get the suction cup, there we are. This is the Ruby TC125, okay? I think this comes out, you get it for about £550, don't quote me on it. It's a plunge saw, okay? There's your connection there for your water, okay? Okay, you need water with some blades. So you got water suppressant, keeping the blade nice and cool. And this is an incredible little tool. A lot of guys are buying these because they don't necessarily want to go to the expense of a bridge saw, so they're hiring the bridge saw now. And this comes with a track, okay? It's a track saw as well, so you can put it on a track, you get those nice straight cuts, and you can cut your individual halves with this or the long lengths. But it's an absolutely fantastic little saw. I've used it several times. You've got the grip here, and you've got another little grip here. And obviously, there's your settings on your side. I've broke this little bit at the moment, so I need to get a replacement on that. But this is the TC125. It's I can't even read that because my eyesight at the moment, like it's too big. It's a bit close on there. There you can actually see. Let me get it a little bit closer. You can actually see the track over here. It comes as a kit as well, so you can see it working on. You get that perfectly straight cut which you want. So that's the TC125. A lot of people are really going for that at the moment. It's accurate, it's smooth, it cuts miters, so it will cut at a 45 as well. It's got that plunge effect, and it's ergonomic. I'm not quite sure what ergonomic actually means. Ergonomic. Double dust reduction system. So I believe that the double dust reduction system is the water suppressant and also the brush that they have near the blade. Let's put that down to one side. That's pretty heavy. That is, without doubt, a fantastic bit of kit. It really is to have on your tool bag. And the thing is, if you're using Porcelain, if you're using an angle grinder with those blades on there, it does work. But sometimes you do need that little extra help. You need some backup, and certainly the TC125. And I believe the supporters, the sponsors of this live stream this morning, ITS, if you go to their website, they have a huge amount of Ruby products in stock. So go on there, have a look, check them out. David Graham says, I'm looking forward to using my new 125. Bought one on recommendations for my DIY patio. Oh, great! That's good to see, mate. It'd be good to actually see what you're doing with that and see a picture of it. Hey guys, listen, it's 45 minutes, and combined with the recent stream, I'm afraid that's going to have to be it today. We've got a poll running at 74% that their preference to. I think it was Porcelain. I'm going to go on there and have a look at the moment. Let me just have a look, see if I can actually see that. It says. I'm not going to end the poll because I want to see. There we are. I've tapped on it. What is your preference, porcelain or sandstone? I should have said. I think they said porcelain 74%, 26% says no to porcelain. There you go. There's your answer. Look, that's it. Thanks for joining this morning. I really appreciate it. I do apologise for the problem we had with the live stream this morning. We will be building the live streams up a lot more in the future, and we're going to be doing a lot more from the undisclosed location. We'll be able to get a lot more out there. So thanks for joining this morning, and thanks for all the likes, and thanks for the support, certainly to everybody across the board, including our Rodney there, James and David Graham, all of you. Really appreciate everything you do and to support this channel. Remember, have a look at some of the videos that we've done. Now I've got this internet connection going now, and let me have a little look before you go, see what we're running at. We'll do a little test again. We're running at 100 Mbps, whatever that means, but apparently it's good. 100, and before I think it was running at 8. You have a great weekend as well, bud. Thanks very much for joining. That's it. We're running at 100 Mbps, and thanks for joining. We will hopefully soon be going from the undisclosed location. If you've got any questions, or if you want to put anything towards me, anything that you want to see or discuss or talk about at any point, and remember, go to the ITS website, check out Ruby. Go on my videos, you'll see the TC125 in action. Thank you very much for joining this morning. And Rob, you have a great weekend. All of you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Don't forget, drop me an email. Rodney, send me some pictures, mate. Maybe I'll come over and give you a hand one day, bud. You take care. All the best. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, whatever you're doing. Bye.